Expected for years, Pawn Stars entertained audiences by showing the fascinating world of pawn dealing, rare artifacts, tough negotiations, and the daily drama inside Rick Harrison's famous Las Vegas pawn shop. But now, Rick's flourishing TV career has taken a dark and unexpected turn. He had once been a symbol of business savvy and historical insight, someone who turned everyday interactions into teachable moments and entertaining television. Yet beneath the bright lights of the shop's glitzy counters and the camaraderie displayed on screen, lies a story with deeper roots and more dramatic contours than many fans realize. Years old, Rick moved with his family to San Diego, California, where he spent most of his childhood. As a young boy, Rick developed epilepsy at age 8, which led him to spend much of his childhood indoors, far removed from the playgrounds and social interactions most kids enjoy. This isolation, though difficult, became a defining period for him. It fostered a deep love of reading. Books became his refuge, his mentors, and his early foundation. Through literature, Rick developed an impressive knowledge of history, one that would later benefit his career in ways neither he nor his family could have predicted. Rick's early life wasn't easy. His battle with epilepsy meant he often missed school, and this lack of consistency in the classroom eventually led to him dropping out during his sophomore year of high school. But this setback, while significant, did not diminish his ambition or his thirst for knowledge. Instead, Rick devoted himself to self-education, devouring books on a wide range of subjects. History fascinated him, but so did economics, art, business practices, and even metallurgy. This autodidactic approach would later become evident in his encyclopedic knowledge displayed on Pawn Stars, where he routinely astonished both customers and viewers with detailed insights into seemingly obscure objects. In his teenage years, Rick began working alongside his father in various business ventures. From a young age, he developed a keen eye for value and authenticity, skills that would prove invaluable in his future career. The bond between father and son was strengthened not just by their family ties, but by their shared vision and relentless work ethic. At the age of 17, Rick's girlfriend, Kim, became pregnant, prompting the couple to marry. The young couple would eventually have 2 sons, Corey and Adam, before divorcing after 8 years of marriage. That chapter of Rick's life was filled with personal growth, the struggles of young parenthood, and the trials of building a life with limited resources. In 1981, Rick's family relocated to Las Vegas, Nevada. It was here that his father, Richard Benjamin Harisson, known affectionately as the Old Man, opened the gold and silver coin shop. Initially focused solely on coins, the business was modest but filled with potential. In 1989, recognizing a larger opportunity, the family transitioned the shop into a full-service pawn establishment. Thus, the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop was born. It would later become the iconic setting for the hit reality series, but in those early days, the Harissons were focused simply on surviving and carving out a niche in a tough, competitive market. The transition from a coin shop to a pawn shop was a strategic decision. Rick and his father recognized the potential for higher profits in the pawn business, especially given Las Vegas's transient population and the constant flow of people looking to trade or sell valuables. The early years were grueling. Rick and Richard worked long hours, often late into the night, struggling to establish a reputation for fairness, honesty, and expertise. Rick often found himself dealing with difficult customers, some of whom were desperate, angry, or even dangerous. These experiences toughened him and honed his negotiation skills, turning him into a savvy, no-nonsense operator. By the early 2000s, Rick had become well known in Las Vegas for his expertise in various collectibles and historical items. His ability to assess everything from Civil War weapons to obscure coins, classic toys, vintage guitars, and even ancient manuscripts made him a local authority. The pawn shop, by then, had gained a reputation as a place where one could find unusual and valuable items. It was not just a business, it was a museum of forgotten treasures, a marketplace of lost stories. Locals came in for deals, and tourists began to trickle in, hoping to catch a glimpse of the action. Recognizing the entertainment potential of his business, Rick began pitching the idea of a reality show based on the daily operations of the pawn shop. It was a bold vision, and not everyone saw the potential. For years, he faced rejection. Networks were skeptical. Who would watch a show about pawning and haggling? But Rick persisted, confident that the mixture of colorful characters, unique artifacts, and real-life drama would make for compelling television. Finally, in 2009, his efforts paid off. The History Channel greenlit Pawn Stars, and television history was made. Pawn Stars began airing in 2009, offering viewers a glimpse into the daily operations of the gold and silver pawn shop. The show showcased Rick, his son Corey Big Hoss Harisson, his father Richard the Old Man Harisson, and their friend Austin Chumley Russell as they evaluated, bought, and sold items of historical significance and questionable value. Each episode was part mystery, part negotiation, part history lesson. The chemistry between the cast, equal parts family dynamic and comedic timing, helped the show become an instant hit. The show's success transformed Rick from a local pawn shop owner into a full-blown television celebrity. His catchphrases, straight-talking manner, and extensive knowledge about historical artifacts made him a fan favorite. Rick's signature line, "The best I can do is," became iconic as he negotiated with customers looking to sell their treasures. While many shows in the reality TV genre focused on drama or manufactured conflict, Pawn Stars stood apart because of its educational component. Rick insisted that each episode feature historical context and information about the items being discussed. This approach appealed to a broad audience, from history buffs to casual viewers, and turned Pawn Stars into one of the History Channel's most successful programs ever. Under Rick's guidance, the pawn shop expanded its business significantly. The shop became a Las Vegas landmark, attracting tourists from around the world. People lined up outside, eager to catch a glimpse of the stars or even appear on an episode. Merchandise sales soared as fans snapped up Pawn Stars branded mugs, t-shirts, and memorabilia. Rick capitalized on his fame, making appearances, writing books, and becoming a recognized authority on antiques and collectibles across the country. Many Americans admired Rick not just for his television success, but for his rags-to-riches story. He had battled epilepsy, dropped out of school, started a family young, and struggled through decades of hard work before finding fame. That narrative, of resilience, self-education, and hustle, resonated with millions. But as Rick's star continued to rise, not everything behind the scenes was picture-perfect. Fame brought with it new pressures, public scrutiny, and challenges in both business and personal relationships. His image, once that of the friendly expert behind the counter, began to shift as darker allegations, internal family struggles, and legal entanglements surfaced in the background. The narrative was no longer just about success, it was about how one holds onto it, and at what cost. As of today, the story of Rick Harisson and Pawn Stars continues to evolve. What started as a family business rooted in Las Vegas grit became a global media empire. And while fans still tune in for the drama, the laughs, and the history lessons, many are also watching for a different reason: to see whether Rick, the man who turned his life into television gold, can navigate the turbulent waters of celebrity and keep the legacy of the gold and silver pawn shop alive. Capitalized on his fame, with many Americans and international fans flocking to Las Vegas, hoping to be part of the phenomenon that was Pawn Stars. What had begun as a modest family-run shop had now become a full-fledged tourist destination. Fans were thrilled by the idea of standing in the very spot where their favorite episodes were filmed, hoping for a quick handshake with Rick or maybe even a chance to barter over an old coin or signed baseball. The line outside the store on a typical day grew longer than those for casinos and celebrity restaurants. Rick, ever the businessman, made sure to meet the demand with not only souvenirs but books, autographed merchandise, and even themed events. The cultural impact of Pawn Stars was undeniable. It became more than just a TV show. It was a symbol of entrepreneurial spirit, of valuing knowledge over flash, and of turning niche interests into mainstream success. Rick Harisson became a household name. He was invited on talk shows, participated in academic panels, and was even called upon to appraise items for museums and private collectors. His deep love for history, once born of necessity due to his illness, now positioned him as an ambassador of historical education. Schools used episodes in their classrooms, and countless viewers admitted to having learned more about the Civil War or ancient artifacts from the show than in any textbook. But the higher the climb, the more precarious the position becomes. As Rick's fame grew, so did public interest in his personal life. Journalists began to dig deeper into the dynamics of the Harisson family, uncovering tension beneath the surface. The once united image portrayed on television began to show cracks. Corey Harisson, Rick's eldest son, had his own ideas about how the shop should evolve, favoring modern business approaches and digital marketing strategies. Rick, however, clung to more traditional methods, emphasizing authenticity and the personal touch that had always defined their business. This generational divide occasionally spilled into public interviews, with fans speculating about a possible split between father and son. Adding to the complications were ongoing rumors about internal disputes, staff changes, and issues with Chumley. Austin Chumley Russell, once the lovable goofball of the show, faced legal issues that threw the entire franchise into controversy. While Rick maintained a diplomatic stance publicly, insiders reported that these issues strained their relationship. Rick had always prided himself on professionalism, and being associated with scandal was something he struggled to manage. The weight of being both a father figure and a businessman in a growing media empire began to take its toll. Behind the scenes, Rick faced challenges that few fans were aware of. The transition from being a pawn shop owner to a full-fledged celebrity entrepreneur meant dealing with contracts, brand deals, lawsuits, and the endless pressure of keeping ratings high. The History Channel, while initially content with the authenticity and education-driven content of porn stars, began to push for more dramatization. Network executives wanted more scripted moments, higher stakes, and personal drama. Rick resisted this shift. For him, the value of the show was in its realism, its educational content, its unscripted negotiations, and its roots in a genuine business. He fought to keep the show grounded, but as the years passed, compromises became inevitable. Episodes began to feature more sensational items, exaggerated customer disputes, and guest appearances from other TV personalities. Rick, though still the calm center of the storm, began to appear increasingly wearied. His once enthusiastic demeanor now carried undertones of exhaustion. Behind the scenes, friends noted his growing frustration, not just with the show's direction, but with the entire entertainment machine he had helped build. In 2018, the show suffered a major blow with the death of Richard the Old Man Harisson. Rick's father had been the heart of the shop and a central figure on the show. His stern yet humorous presence balanced the cast, and his passing left a noticeable void. Rick was devastated. Their relationship, both personal and professional, had spanned decades. They had built the business together from the ground up, weathering countless storms side by side. Losing him was not just a personal tragedy, it signaled the end of an era. Fans mourned alongside Rick, and an emotional tribute episode was aired, bringing many to tears. But with loss came further complications. After the old man's death, news broke that he had reportedly written Rick's brother Christopher out of his will. This revelation stirred public interest and familial tensions. Questions arose about inheritance, business control, and the true dynamics of the Harisson family. Rick, usually composed and guarded, faced uncomfortable scrutiny. He attempted to shield his family from further intrusion, but the media frenzy was relentless. Speculations abounded about greed, betrayal, and the darker undercurrents of a family that had once seemed rock solid on screen. Financially, Rick remained successful. The shop continued to do business, and merchandise sales were steady. Yet, he began to withdraw from the public eye. He appeared in fewer episodes, gave fewer interviews, and increasingly delegated responsibilities to others. Rumors swirled about his health, his mental well-being, and his desire to leave television behind altogether. Longtime fans expressed concern. Was Rick tired of fame? Had the pressures finally caught up to him? Was the pawn shop, once his sanctuary, now just a gilded cage? Adding to the emotional weight was the reality of a changing Las Vegas. The city had transformed dramatically since the early 80s. Where once a small pawn shop could thrive quietly on a side street, now it was dwarfed by massive casinos, mega-resorts, and constant redevelopment. Rick lamented the loss of old Vegas, a sentiment he shared in interviews. The city that had once given him a chance was becoming unrecognizable. Rising rents, corporate pressures, and increased tourism meant that doing business the old-fashioned way was no longer sustainable. Rick faced a dilemma: adapt further or bow out gracefully. Behind closed doors, Rick considered stepping away. Retirement, or at least a break, became a more frequent topic in private conversations. He explored the idea of writing a memoir, not just about porn stars, but about his life, his struggles with epilepsy, his journey as a self-taught historian, and the lessons he'd learned about family, fame, and failure. Publishers were interested. Fans were eager. But Rick hesitated. Telling his full story would mean confronting painful truths, exposing vulnerabilities, and potentially reopening old wounds. Meanwhile, the pawn shop continued to attract daily visitors. Lines still formed outside, and hopeful customers brought in everything from Revolutionary War pistols to Elvis memorabilia. The appeal hadn't faded, even if Rick's role had diminished. Corey and Chumley took on more prominent responsibilities, keeping the brand alive and maintaining the shop's status as a staple of Las Vegas culture. But without Rick at the helm, the dynamic changed. The tone was different. The magic, while still present, had shifted. Despite the setbacks, Rick remained proud. Proud of the shop, the show, and the impact they had made. He knew that Pawn Stars had inspired a generation of collectors, historians, and small business owners. He had shown people that knowledge mattered, that history wasn't just something for professors in ivory towers, but something that could be found in a grandmother's attic or a dusty box in a garage. He had turned forgotten objects into valuable stories, and for that, he would always be remembered. In recent years, Rick has focused more on private ventures. He's invested in restaurants, consulted on auction houses, and even toyed with the idea of launching a podcast focused on rare items and strange histories. Though he rarely makes TV appearances now, when he does, the reception is overwhelmingly positive. Fans still chant his catchphrases. Children, who grew up watching him, now bring their own kids to the pawn shop hoping to pass down the tradition. His legacy, despite all the drama, remains firmly intact. Yet, even as the spotlight dims, Rick Harrisson's story continues. It's the story of a boy who overcame illness, who dropped out of school only to teach millions through a pawn shop counter. It's a story of family and conflict, of fame gained and burdens carried. It's about the cost of success and the value of staying true to one's roots. For all its twists and turns, it's ultimately a very American story, one built not on privilege or perfection, but on resilience, grit, and the belief that knowledge is the most valuable currency of all. And in the end, whether Rick returns to the screen or quietly fades from it, his impact is undeniable. The world may not remember every item bought or sold on Pawn Stars, but it will remember the man who made history cool again. It will remember Rick Harisson, not just as the man behind the counter, but as the historian of the everyday, the keeper of stories, and the heart of a show that turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. As the years rolled on, Rick found solace in the quieter moments. Early mornings spent browsing through antique catalogs, late nights walking through the now legendary gold and silver pawn shop after closing hours, reminiscing about the long road he had traveled. Sometimes, he'd pause at a display case, gazing at an old item that had once been the centerpiece of an episode, remembering the customer's story.